Ask you, so you're gonna try to bring in Emily later then, or?
Yeah, I can try calling her.
You want me to text her? And
Yeah, because she said she was available at 1, so.
I thought it said like 1:45 or something.
I think it was
1
1 to
till
1:45.
1:45.
Oh,
Yeah.
1 to 1:45. Okay.
Okay, let's see, agenda management, entertain motion second to accept the agenda as presented.
So moved.
second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, public forum. Open the public forum for anybody who wants to speak. Matt, did you have anything? I'm thinking not, so we'll close the public forum. Move on to the consent agenda items. They include the minutes from our April 11th meeting, the trade accounts for both the electric and communication utility, and internal control inventory. If there are no objections, these items will be adopted.
No objections.
All right. We'll move on to action items for the Waverly Utilities. The financial audit has been postponed until June 13th meeting.
And question there. Can we just tell the people why?
Yes, so we were waiting on IPERS to get their finalized numbers, and IPERS didn't get us the numbers in time to get it presented at this board meeting. So they were later this year than last year. So,
They have to present it to our auditor in order for them to put it into the book. And once again, that'd be for how much pension liability we have.
correct.
So do we need a motion to postpone this? Okay, motion second entertained to postpone the financial audit to the June 13th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move on to information items. Nothing on the agenda. Anything from staff or the board? Hearing none, we'll go on to other business. Again, nothing on the agenda. All right. Calendar. Moving right along here. I was telling Daryl earlier today, I cannot make it on June 13th. At least, I don't think I will be able to. I've got some surgery scheduled. So, yeah, just a shoulder tendon thing. So, but I want to get it done. And unless that changes, I won't be able to make it, so either you guys go without me or we move the date, so.
All depends on Emily.
I was gonna say, I'm fine with either one.
If we were gonna move the date, I think we need to move it before that time, because I think I'm not gonna be real mobile after that for a little bit, so. It's up to you guys, I mean, I can move it. I don't know if it could be like the Monday, June 12th.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. We just need to publicize it.
Yeah, it would be on the board agenda when I send it. I'd have to have it in the paper earlier with the date change.
I could do it the 12th, I could not do it the week before that, so.
Shall we plan on the 12th? Okay.
Do you need action for that, or is that,
No.
okay.
So,
1 o'clock, June 12th, at the utility office. Thank you. Anything else that we need to?
So the June 12th, the auditor will be here to present?
14th was out, but he didn't say the 12th was out, so.
Okay.
So we have to, hope to have him in person, otherwise it'll be another Zoom as it was last year, hopefully in person this year.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Right, nothing else on the calendar. We'll move on to electric utility action items and the financials. Kelly?
Hello. So this is the March 2023 preliminary financials. The revenues are $3,000 under year-to-date budget overall, with the ECA adjustment reducing revenues by $124,000. The net job income was over by $28,000, and the miscellaneous operating income was over by $60,000. Kilowatt sales for the month were 733,000 less than March a year ago, with residential being under by 280,000 and industrial by 404,000. Expenses are doing great. They're 488,000 lower than the year-to-date budget. This is caused by the purchase power being under by 254,000, distribution by 161, and by diesel by 32,000. Other income is coming in better than budget as well. That's $36,000 better than budget. This brings us into a net income of $521,000 better than budget. Cash and investments are at $11,776,000. That's an increase of $416,696. However, some of this is a timing issue with how we pulled the April 5th ACH payment. It got pulled into March, so you'll see it swinging in April. And there was no change in the outstanding debt. We'll make interest payments June 1.
Can you go back to the comment about pulled into March instead of April? What was that?
Yeah, so when we do the ACH pull, so people who we pull the ACH for a certain billing period, we have to get it into the bank within a certain period of time to be able to pull those funds accurately on that date that we said that we would. And you've got a little bit of a fluctuation of a couple of days to get that information in. We did it quickly, maybe too quickly, but we're used to having, not necessarily thinking about month end when we make that. We're used to thinking about when do we need to take that money out of the people's customers' accounts.
Okay.
And that didn't cause, like at our workplace, we tell people that we're gonna, pull it on the 5th. And so if we pull it early, we may have some NSFs.
And it won't pull early. It was just
Okay.
us getting what happens is we do this transaction, we send the information to the bank and say, pull it on this date. But in our accounting records, we've already done it, so we've reduced our accounts receivable and put it as an outstanding deposit.
Okay, we actually hadn't received it, but we booked it.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
and it'll come out of the customer's accounts on time.
Okay.
How much was that?
$301,000.
So you're expecting revenue in April to be short then?
It really shouldn't impact revenue because that's all based upon when you earn that revenue. It's really a cash timing issue.
Oh, okay, okay.
So your cash will go down and you'll see, next month, I'll explain why we went down 300,000.
Good, okay. Makes sense. All right. Any other questions on the financials?
I do have a question. I gotta pick on Daryl since we don't have him very much longer, so. So Daryl, on page 8, load factor, could you tell me about, give me a refresher on load factors? Because I see like April or March got really high, but I don't understand why.
Okay. So keep in mind what load factor is, and I'll just pick June as a month that can really make your load factor look bad. So let's say that you start the month of June in the 70 degrees, and for 27 days you're at 70 degrees. In June 28th, temperature spikes to 95 degrees. everybody turns their air conditioners on, sets a system peak for the month of June. So you're running at a peak here and you're selling kilowatts right here. Then that peak jumps up for the last couple days, and the kilowatt hours only went up for a couple days, but the rest of the kilowatts were down here. So when they compare kilowatt hours sold to the peak, your load factor went way down.
Okay.
So it's got to, that's the whole difference right there. If you look at the formula, it's kilowatt hours sold to what your peak was. The better that looks, the better your load factor.
So March was really high, so and once again, the high percentage is not good.
High percentage is good.
High percentage is good.
Yeah, we're selling kilowatt hours very close to that peak. So we're selling a lot of kilowatt hours to the peak.
Okay.
It's when the load factor drops, it's when things are not good. That means you're paying a higher peak and not selling the kilowatt hours to recoup it.
Okay.
In a perfect world, your load factor would be 90+% all the time.
Okay. You're always using about the same amount every single day of the month. All right.
Yep, the killer's that hot day for the last couple days. That just sets a brand new peak, but you didn't sell kilowatt hours associated with that peak.
Okay.
So your load factor goes right in.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Right, entertain motion second to approve financials as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, financials are approved. Resolution number 18-23, reimbursement resolution.
So the monthly reimbursement resolution that we're used to is at hand, and the amount that it increased for this month was $45,351, and the running total is $2,952,689.
Entertain motion second to approve resolution 18-23.
Move approval.
Second.
Angie, please call roll.
Brunkhorst,
Aye.
Kettleson,
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes, resolution 18-23 is approved. Public hearing on plan specifications and form of contract and estimate of cost for furnishing 69 kV GOAV switch project. Kurt?
Yeah, so this is the opportunity for the public to speak to the project.
Public hearing.
Yep. Open the public hearing.
Okay.
Close the public hearing. Resolution 19-23, adopting plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of 69 kV GOAB switch project. Correct.
Yeah, so this is the resolution to approve the plans and specs that we had sent out for the bid letting that was approved back in March. The bid letting went through basically April 18th, 2023 at 1 o'clock is when all bids were due. This is, again, the resolution approving that, adopting the plan specifications and such for that project.
Can you describe the project?
We get to consideration bids. Can we go to the next resolution? I can't do it now if you want. It's however you guys want to go.
I mean, go ahead.
Okay. So the GoApp Switch project is a project at the North Load Center, the service center at 1002 Adams Parkway. The GoApp Switch is, in a nutshell, it's a piece of equipment that moves voltage from the transmission line to the local distribution system. So it's just in your head, it's think of it as like kind of like big light switch. It's closing in power and opening power. The GoApp switches that are in place are nearing the end of their life cycle. They're getting close to about 30, 35 years old, and we're looking at replacing those just for our reliability standpoint. If for some reason one of those GoApp switches go bad, we're unable to transfer power between the incoming transmission power to the substations. So generally
They're
those...
kind of important.
Yes, they're very important. We have had some mechanical issues with them in years past where we're able to fix the GoApp switch or have a contractor come in and make a repair. And mostly the repairs are just due from normal wear and tear. They sit outdoors inside the substation themselves, and kind of probably underemphasize the size of these things. They're rather large. If I had a picture or something, I can show you, but they're, you can come, stop at the substation, I can show you what they look like too. They're basically probably about the size of a small car, so they're pretty decent size.
Kurt, these switches are blade switches?
Yes, the current ones are blade switches, so the blade would come down into the middle of it and it just kind of sits in there by gravity. The new GoAv switches are designed a little bit better where they will come down into a mechanical device and actually twist and lock in. So it has a little bit better connection. The failures that we've seen or the issues we've been having are that gravity feed blade where it feeds in and it's basically wear and tear on the equipment that doesn't make a good connection. So
How old are the current switches?
about 30 years old.
Yeah. Entertain motion second to approve resolution 19-23.
Move approval.
Second.
Angie?
Runcorst,
Aye.
Kettleson.
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes. Resolution 19-23 is approved. Resolution 20-23, making award of construction contract for the furnishing of 69 kV GOAB switch project.
Do we have?
First, we have
Consideration.
construction of consideration.
Oh, I'm sorry, consideration of bids. I'm sorry.
So we got some bids, or at least one.
So the consideration of construction bids is the actual project itself, where we received the bids on April 18th. We received one bid from a vendor that had two attached bids to it. So it was a vendor with two manufacturer suppliers that came in for the bid. Staff is anticipating the cost of the projects to be between $75,000 to $90,000 for just the material themselves. We received the two bids. One bid came in with freight at $43,194, and the second bid came in at $41,626. It's our recommendation that the GoAv switch bid go to the vendor, who was Rusco, that submitted both bids, but the supplier of the manufacturer of the GoAv switch themselves is Seco, and then the second bidder was Hubble, and Seco ended up with the lower bid with better lead time on the delivery of the equipment.
Yep.
If you just look at the equipment itself, the Seco versus the Hubble, just the equipment itself, do you still consider the Seco better than the Hubble?
By design, they're both the same design per our specs in the bid
Yeah.
equipment or the bid letting. We would probably consider the equipment themselves as an equal in that retrospect. We don't see really any disadvantages between the Seco or the Hubble. I think both product would suit the purpose of the project rather well.
Okay.
The biggest factor there was the delivery time of the equipment. Initially, we planned this project to maybe be we generally, when we do this project, we have to take the substation down for a period of time, and we don't like taking substations down in the middle of summer or the winter months. So we have to do these projects in our shoulder months of either the spring or the fall. There's a possibility that we may be doing a small transmission project next year as well, and that would be maybe geared towards the latter half of the year, and then the thinking of bringing the GoAv switch project into the springtime of the year of 2024. So the Seco has a much better lead time versus the 54 weeks with the Hubble product. If we ordered it, we have one more approval next month with a resolution before we can order the material. So that would put us in about a late June timeframe to order. It would be June of 2024 before that material would show up if we went with the Hubble product. So the Seco, they're saying we could have them delivered in first quarter of 2024. We're kind of gearing towards that project being done in the spring of 24 then.
Great, thank you.
Good news is pricing was under estimation. Bad news is the labor will probably be higher.
Yes,
So-
that'd be the second part. If you recall, we're doing this project a little differently than what we've had in the past, where we will order the or we'll send this out for bid letting, and it'll include the equipment, material, and labor to be installed by a contractor. This time around, we are bid letting where the utility is buying the material, and then we'll be bid letting the contractor labor here probably in the next month or two to do this project in the spring of '24. So to Daryl's point, fingers crossed, labor comes in kind of where we're projecting it to be, but hopefully we see some overall savings in the project when it's done.
Okay. So now ready to move on to the resolution. Resolution 20-23, making the award of a construction contract for furnishing the GoAb switch project. Entertain motion second to approve.
Move approval.
Second?
Any other questions?
Do we have to list out which one it is in there? Because this just says it's being awarded to Resco, but do we have to list out?
I think it's probably it's in the resolution, Angie.
Say that again.
Okay, so to Jess's point, she's pointing out Resco is the supplier or
Right.
the vendor, and then we have Seco and Hubble. Is that?
It's, I'm sure.
It's listed in the resolution, I believe, that Bob will sign.
I don't see it, but maybe it's me.
Well, the resolution was written by Ehlers. I'll have to handwrite in where it says contractor. So I will put that in there then. On
Oh, yeah,
the
contractor.
second page
Oh, I
where it
see.
says
Oh, yep.
contractor
Yep,
and
you're
it's
right.
empty.
Yep.
So I will put that in there.
Any other questions? Angie?
Brunkhorst,
Aye.
Kettleson,
Yes.
Buckingham.
Yes. Resolution 20-23 is approved. Information items, department reports for the electric utility. And Kelly's getting up there, so Kelly,
Sure. So the CSR staff continue to perform the day-to-day functions of the billing collections, including setting up new accounts, closing accounts, and collection calls. We've continued to work on the 2022 financial audit with I. Bailey. I'm told it's with the auditors now, which is a good step. I have not heard of any issues yet. I don't want to jinx myself, but so far we're looking pretty good. We completed some regulatory filings, the EIA 412 and Attachment O. Those go to MISO. We're kind of on hold until the audit is complete because they won't accept that until that's complete. We filed the EIA 861 and the Electric Replacement Tax Form C.
very good, thank you. Jen?
What's being passed out now, I didn't have on my list because we just received it yesterday, but Daryl and I wanted to just share it with you all to see. It was an article that was in Between the Lines publication that goes monthly to the customers of PCS, and PCS is Professional Computer Solutions, and they are the ones that we contract for our financial statements, our payroll, and so this magazine goes out to their clients. Anyway, they chose us to be represented in this last month's magazine, so you can just read that over at your free time if you want, but that was one thing that was done this last month. April 18th was the National Lineman Day. We recognize our linemen with a photo, and on our social media, it's just one of those posts that the public really likes to see our crew out there and give them kudos via social media, since they don't always see them in person when they're there. April was Call Before You Dig Month. This is always takes place in April, so it's a national campaign that we partake in. That was promoted in the Waverly newspaper as well as on social media. You might have seen in a couple different places on social media as well as in the newspaper that St. Paul's Lutheran Church, or excuse me, school, their students presented Waverly Utilities with an $850.40 check toward Project Share. So if you remember, Project Share, the funds go to help pay utility bills for those who are not able to afford that. So they collected this money as a project for themselves, and they did it through their offering through the school kids, and they collected that much for Project Share. So they presented that to us, and nice little check to turn into that program. And then again, posted all the social media posts on Facebook and Instagram.
Very good.
Question on the fund there. I mean, so how much typically do we get each year in that fund
That's,
that we distribute?
I think it was 800 or 850 last year.
Okay.
so that, yeah, 800, 850, so that doubled it. Hopefully, if we get about the same amount. Customers can opt to donate to this, so they can add it on to their utility bill. We promote it in our newsletter quarterly, that if they would like to contribute to this fund, $2, $4, $10, however much they want, then it goes into that fund.
And how do we disperse it?
I believe that I sent it to IUP. I have a filing requirement later this year where I submit it, I think it's in the fall, and I just let them know how much it is, and I believe that they take care of distributing it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it isn't done in-house.
Okay.
Yeah,
So the Iowa Utility Board will distribute it through
right.
mechanisms. Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Kurt?
Yeah, so obviously with the start of spring season, our construction season is well underway now. We're finally out and about getting underground projects started and some overhead projects. In the last month, we were really focused in the 4th Street and 29th Avenue Southwest corridor and in 1300 block of 4th Street Southwest in preparation of a couple new businesses that'll be under construction later this summer. So the crews were getting some preliminary work done there to get the underground service put in and at least get it roughed in for when that construction begins later. We did send a staff member down to the Tree Line USA award ceremony. This is an annual awards event that Waverly Utilities has been involved with for over 30 years now. It's a annual filing that we do to promote that goes in depth about our tree trimming practices around power lines and keeping our reliability at a certain level. So this year we were recipient again of that award. We sent one of our line staff down to receive that. And then we had our annual fire safety and protection training and respirator training for staff. Again, some underground services out on 4th Street Southwest in the 500 block and Country Hills Drive. And then we did a fiber relocate project in the 1400 block of Cedar Lane. That project was a little bit of a wildlife prone area, I think, Jeff, that we had some fiber outages there. So I think we did some preventative measures on the overhead structure over the last couple of years, and somehow wildlife kept finding their way into it. So we fixed the problem by putting it underground. So I guess we'll let the ants take care of it now. Moving over to generation substations, the soft start motor controller was completed at the North Plant well pumps. This was a project that was in our capital budget. The purpose of the soft start controller is to kind of not only improve the efficiency of the motor, but reduce the amount of wear and tear that the motors see when the well pumps kick on. They don't get slammed on quite as hard as the way the original setup had been. So there's a project that we've been wanting to do for a couple of years, and we've got that completed now. Probably the large project last month was the Title V emission stack testing that took place at both the north and south plants. This is a 5-year testing mechanism that the Iowa Department of Natural Resources put us through to make sure that our engines are performing as designed, and that emissions are within the boundaries of what is set for them. So they come out, we have a third party that comes out and measures the nitrogen oxides, the carbon dioxides, the emissions that